Moxley breaks silence after Raw. Roman's shocking Bloodline move. Jacob Fatu joins the Bloodline. Raw fallout changes everything. The Bloodline enters a new era. What if the biggest shock from Raw wasn't what happened during the show, but what happened after the cameras stopped rolling? And what if Jon Moxley's silence wasn't because he had nothing to say, but because he was waiting for the perfect moment to reveal something that could change everything? The wrestling world has been trying to connect the dots, and now the fallout has created more questions than answers. Because after a night full of unexpected moments, one thing has become clear: something is shifting. The balance of power is changing, alliances are being tested, and Roman Reigns may have just made a move that could redefine the Bloodline forever. The arrival of Jacob Fatu has opened a brand new chapter, and whether you're excited about it or worried about it, you have to admit one thing: whenever the Bloodline makes a move, the entire wrestling world stops and watches. Before we get deeper into everything, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're breaking down all the details, hidden meanings, and possible future twists that could come from this shocking Raw fallout. Now, let's get into what really happened. The first major piece of this puzzle is Jon Moxley finally breaking his silence. For a while, fans were wondering what was going through Moxley's mind. In wrestling, silence can sometimes be more powerful than any promo. A wrestler doesn't always need to grab a microphone and explain every thought. Sometimes the biggest statement is simply refusing to react until the right moment comes. And that's exactly why Moxley's situation has caught so much attention. Jon Moxley has always been known as someone who thrives in chaos. He's not the kind of person who waits for everything to be perfect before making a move. He walks into the storm and somehow makes the storm look like it was created for him. That's what makes him dangerous. He's unpredictable. He's intense. And most importantly, he doesn't play by the same rules as everyone else. So when someone like Moxley goes quiet, people notice. Fans start asking questions. Why now? Why stay silent? Is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? Is he watching everything unfold before making his next move? And this is where wrestling fans start doing what wrestling fans do best: analyzing every single detail. A 2-second stare becomes a clue. A simple sentence becomes a hidden message. A random backstage moment becomes the beginning of a storyline that could last months. Sometimes fans are right, sometimes we're completely wrong, but that's part of the fun. Because wrestling has a way of making you look back and realize the signs were there the entire time. The question now is whether Moxley's silence is a warning or a setup. Because while everyone was trying to figure out what Jon Moxley would do next, Roman Reigns was making a decision that could completely change the future of the Bloodline. Roman Reigns has always been someone who understands power. His entire tribal chief era was built around control, dominance, and making everyone believe there was no one above him. The Bloodline wasn't just a group. It was an empire. It was a symbol of family, loyalty, and influence. But every empire eventually faces the same challenge. The bigger it gets, the harder it becomes to control. And that's where Jacob Fatu enters the picture. When the idea of Jacob Fatu becoming connected to the Bloodline started gaining attention, fans immediately had strong opinions. Some saw it as the perfect next step. Others wondered if Roman Reigns was bringing in someone who could eventually become his biggest threat. And honestly, both sides have a point. Because Jacob Fatu is not just another person joining a faction. He brings a different kind of energy. He brings intensity. He brings unpredictability. He brings the kind of presence that makes people ask a very important question: can Roman Reigns actually control him? Because that has always been the biggest challenge with the Bloodline. It's not about finding powerful people. Roman has always had powerful people around him. The real challenge has always been loyalty. Who is truly there because they believe in Roman? And who is only there because they see an opportunity? That's where the drama begins. Imagine being inside the Bloodline right now. Roman Reigns is still the leader. He built the entire foundation. He created the vision. He created the system. But now there's a new force entering that system. Someone who has his own reputation. Someone who has his own ambition. Someone who might not be interested in standing behind anyone forever. And that's what makes this situation so interesting. Because sometimes the person you bring in to strengthen your kingdom is the same person who eventually challenges your throne. Wrestling history is full of moments like this. A new member joins a group. Everyone celebrates. The team looks unstoppable. Then little by little, small cracks begin to appear. A disagreement happens. Someone refuses to follow an order. Someone starts believing they deserve more. And suddenly the group that looked unbeatable starts falling apart from the inside. Could that happen with the Bloodline? That's the question everyone is asking. Roman Reigns is smart enough to know the risk. He doesn't make moves without thinking about the future. Every decision usually has a purpose. So why Jacob Fatu? Why now? Is Roman building the next generation of the Bloodline? Is he creating the most dominant family unit WWE has ever seen? Or is he accidentally inviting someone into his world who could eventually take everything from him? That mystery is what makes this story so fascinating. Because the Bloodline has never only been about winning championships. It has always been about relationships. It has been about trust. It has been about who belongs and who doesn't. And when you add someone new into that equation, everything changes. Now, let's bring Jon Moxley back into the conversation, because his role in all of this is what makes things even more unpredictable. Moxley represents the complete opposite of Roman Reigns. Roman represents structure. He represents control. He represents a carefully built empire. Moxley represents chaos. He represents freedom. He represents someone who refuses to be controlled by anyone. And that contrast is exactly why fans are wondering if these two worlds could eventually collide. Could Moxley's next move somehow affect Roman Reigns' plans? Could his words expose something that others haven't noticed yet? Or could he simply be waiting for the perfect opportunity to step into the spotlight? Because with Moxley, you never really know. That's what makes him different. He doesn't always announce his next move. He just appears, and suddenly the entire situation changes. And that's why this Raw fallout feels bigger than just one episode. It feels like several stories are moving at once. The Bloodline is evolving. Moxley is speaking again. New alliances are forming. Old questions are returning. And somewhere in the middle of all this is a major mystery that nobody has fully solved yet. The fans are already debating everything. Social media is full of theories. Some people believe Jacob Fatu joining the Bloodline is the start of something legendary. Others think this could be the beginning of another internal collapse. And honestly, both possibilities are exciting. Because the best wrestling stories are the ones where you genuinely don't know what happens next.